And there you go, you can see it burping the system.
Got the new jug right here. I'm gonna go ahead and top this off.
Back out here in the garage, today we're gonna be changing out the radiators on this KTM 250 XCF. So we're over here on the drain side of the bike. Here's our drain bolt, and I'm gonna use this funnel right here so that it don't spill and will drain right into this bucket. In this case, I'm making sure that I keep that copper washer on there because I'm going to be reusing it. I'm going to put this off to the side. Now with the drain bolt removed, the funnel all set up, I'm going to take off this top cap, and this will depressurize the air in the system and let that fluid flow right out. There we go. As soon as I took that cap off, fluid started gushing. We're just going to let all this fluid drain out, and then we'll disconnect the radiators and throw on some new ones. Still dripping slightly, so I'm just going to put a paper towel right there to soak all that up. Gives me a bit more space to work in here. Now using this Phillips head screwdriver, I'm just going to loosen up these radiator hoses. You're going to have to make sure you loosen up these radiator hoses enough so that they can get over the lip of the fitting. Now that all the radiator hoses are all loosened up, I'm going to disconnect the radiator itself from the bike. Here, I just put my finger there and push it away. And now we have this last one on the back. Of course, I dropped the clamp in the bucket. It's alright though. So yeah, some dents on the left side here. The other radiator that's still on the bike is actually in worse condition, so we'll check that out after. Let's get that other side disconnected now. So over here, just disconnect these hoses. Alright, now that the hoses are off, we'll just disconnect these bolts that hold it to the frame. Radiators are out of there. This one was the one that was bad. As you can see, there's some minor dents there, and there's a major gouge right there. So this is the main reason why I'm replacing this. Figure that this is gonna go anytime now. A couple $100 could save me a motor failure out on the track, so hopefully it'll be worth it. Here's a side-by-side look of the new radiators compared to the old radiators. As you can see, these things have gotten some wear on them. Big gouges in the radiator fins, big dents on the frame of the radiator. So definitely going to be better off with a new set for this season. Let's get these things installed. So before we can throw on the new radiators, I'm going to have to clean up these hoses. I don't want to have any dirt on the seal of the hose that could mess up the seal and cause coolant leaking. So I'm going to get all this cleaned up. Gonna start with the fill side radiator. So let's take this over to the bike and get this thing thrown on. I'm gonna be very careful with these new fins, and I'm gonna drop these right into the hoses. So here we go. Here's our first fitting on the top. There we go. We got all those hoses loosely connected. I'm gonna go ahead and do the other side now. There's the left side radiator. Again, just take off these caps and then go ahead and connect your hoses. Now I'm just kind of pushing everything together and repositioning these hose clamps the way that they are going to be. Putting everything back the way that it was, making sure everything's snug together. There we go, just snapped this radiator back in line with the bolts. So now I can get the bolts in there and we'll torque everything back together. All right, everything's in final position now, so I'm gonna tighten this up, get the radiators mounted on here. All right, so now we got the radiators on. They're bolted on, they're not going anywhere. Last thing we gotta do is tighten up our hose clamps and fill it with radiator fluid. Just focus on lining these hoses up right how they were when I uninstalled them. Make sure they get a really good connection on that rubber. You don't want to go too tight either. Just go to where they don't spin. That's good. As you're throwing them in, just make sure they're fully seated on there before you tighten it up. Then you can take the hose clamp and try to spin it. And if it's on there secure, that's all you want. There we go, it's not spinning. Not spinning, that's good. Last but not least, we got this one right here on the top. Radiator hoses are all tightened up. I just double check, and I got this top one. I got both of these. You know, check all to make sure they're all tightened up, and then the one up in here in the front. Before we can fill it up, what we got to do is put this drain bolt back in. So I'm going to take a paper towel, clean this up as much as I can. Just want to make sure that that crush washer gets a good seal against the metal here. So now I'm going to clean up this drain bolt, the washer all cleaned up, and we'll go ahead and get this screwed back into the bike. So this is a copper washer. This really is a one-time washer, and I should be replacing this right now, but I honestly do not have one, so I'm going to go ahead and reuse it. These do not take much torque. You just want to go to that where that washer starts to crush and back off, so that's good. Right there, and that's good. So now that I got everything tightened up, what I'm going to do is go ahead and fill this up. So what we have to do here is take off our fill cap. Here's the coolant I'm using. This is Motorex M3.0 coolant. It's ready to use. You don't have to mix any water into it. It's all good to go. So what we're going to do is just straight up pour this right in. Go all the way until it comes up to the very top. If you pay attention, you can actually hear it kind of bleeding itself through the system. And what I'm going to do now is take these hoses, and I'm squeezing it, and there you go, you can see it burping the system. The coolant's filled up to the top of this radiator, but what we have to do from this point on is start the bike to get the fluid to pump through the system. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and throw in the rest of the exhaust, and we'll fire this thing up, get that fluid pumping. Just putting this cap on to keep anything from getting in there while I'm working on the exhaust. But let's get the exhaust on real quick. Let's get this on the bike so we can set up the new radiators. Next, let's toss on the gas tank. Just make sure you clean that up as much as you can. There is a filter in there, and I'll show you guys how to do that in another video. For now, we're going to connect this how it is. Whew. Took a little bit, but that snap right there is how you know it's in. You can just pull it apart, make sure it's all good. Takes a bit of force, like I said, but when you hear that snap, you're good to go. Let's take this cap back off so that we can watch the fluid level. And let's go ahead and fire this thing up.
any air bubbles to work their way out.
Shut it off right there, and we got a good bubble, so I'm gonna go ahead and fill it back up. As you can see, I filled it up and it's already gone down a little bit. More bubbles coming out. I'm gonna do the trick of squeezing the hoses again. Just get all those bubbles worked completely out. Squeeze the bubbles, got it to go down a couple inches. I'm gonna go ahead and top off again. I'm gonna go ahead and fire it up again, and we'll get that fluid pumping again.
This time I'm gonna go ahead, check all these hoses, make sure there's no fluid leaking.
As you can see, still getting some bubbles out of there, but I'm pretty satisfied with how it went because it's not dropping very low. I noticed what might have been some fluid leaking from this hose connection, so I got this wrench so I can reach underneath there. And I'm gonna go ahead and give that maybe a quarter of a turn. It could have also just been some spillover fluid, but either way I've tightened that up now and should be good to go. Alright, so since I tightened up that hose, I'm going to fire this thing up again and we'll check it out for leaks.
Just running my finger over it to see if it comes back wet. It's all dry now. Must have just been some spillover when I was burping the system. Everything seems good.
Alright, we filled up. Everything's tightened up. Checked for leaks. And we're going to go ahead and get this thing back together. Boom. New radiators. Here are the new radiators. Took the old ones out, put the new ones on. Got everything torqued up properly. Filled it up. Pumped the system. Bled the system of air. Checked for leaks. In the last episode, we set up these radiators, and now we're going to get some Flow Motorsports radiator guards on them. Let's go unbox these and check them out.